I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, you matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm backed up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Marie coming to your hearing this afternoon. It's nice to be on All Things Relative Media. Thank you, Mr. Julius Hall, for giving us this platform. How you doing, Mr. Tolan Wright?
How are you doing, ma'am? Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I am so happy. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for letting me come back.
Really, it's a pleasure. And Mr. Xavier, thank you for making it. Thank you for coming. I just want to say first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for my co-host, Mr. Julius Campbell, who is out tonight. He'll be back next week. And I'd like to thank you for the person who came up with Incarceration to Incorporate, Mr. AB. And of course, as always, Mr. Julius Hall for giving us this platform to tell our truth and come and share resources and to help one another. Because that's what we do. We encourage, empower, and educate on all things relative media. So, Mr. Tolan, can you tell me what is your affiliation with Incarceration? Tell me your name, your affiliation with Incarceration, and what do you do?
All right. I am been blessed to never really been incarcerated, but I have worked with youth who are in a program that Mr. Julius Campbell works with. And it is a program that basically tries to intercept youth from going on a path of incarceration. And I work at an alternative school where the vision is purely the same. Our students have had a hard time at a normal school setting. And so they are now at an alternative school. And we really try to empower those kids to change their mindset, which is what I think that anybody who's been incarcerated, that's the number one thing they try to do, is to change their mindset. And so I am blessed to be a teacher in that program for both 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I teach mathematics, which is also a great gift for me for my kids because it gives them an opportunity to really see a male in a different light. I really do things differently because I'm a math teacher. So I'm just excited to be here to get a chance to give a different side of things because I definitely have a different view.
So hi, Mr. Xavier.
Hello, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
You're echoing a little bit.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Xavier? He done went out again. So, Mr. Tolan, you told me about the kid.
Oh.
Mr. Xavier, you back on? Okay, we're having some technical difficulties with Xavier, but I'm going to ask Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright, you're saying that you're allowing the kids to see a difference when it comes to a male role model. I think that's very important because a lot of the youth don't have that. Correct. So how would you say, Mr. Wright, tell me what kind of difference are you trying to make in these kids, like so they won't go from school to prison pipeline?
Well, I think the number one thing I do as a teacher, and this is just, sometimes I don't want to get anybody's job confused. I just want people to understand it's just I play a small cog in this overall community we're supposed to be building. And my part that I feel like I play, I try to educate and remind them at this stage they are students and they're in the process of learning and acquiring knowledge and acquiring basically strategies to deal with different life problems. And that's what I try to really show my kids, because in the most of them come to a program of either for what Mr. Campbell and I, how we met, or even at my alternative school, they have made choices and decisions that basically are violent because that is the way that they have been acting out. So I, as a teacher, I really try to show them, and I'll go back to this a lot, a different mindset to incorporate different strategies to really show them why it's important, first of all, to be a student. That's the number one thing. I just really feel that they are supposed to be a student. Did everybody leave me? Hello?
You can keep on talking. Marie, her internet went out, but you can keep telling us what you do.
No problem, sir. And I didn't, if Mr. Xavier is back, I didn't want to.
He's back, but his camera froze,
No
so
problem,
they're
sir.
both having internet trouble.
Well,
Hold on, you just go ahead, and I'll be in a minute.
no problem, sir. Well, the other part that I would really like to emphasize is that we're now at a stage where we're trying to be more positive in the community, and we're trying to develop a network of community mentor programs and just different work personnel, just different groups of people to offer a different um, view of what goes on in the city of Savannah. And I just was hoping that we could just invite, especially in this situation with technology, that we can just give our kids a very different opportunities maybe that they've never seen before. And I don't have all the, as I say, I enjoy coming on programs like this where we have the opportunity to discuss ideas and truly dialogue, because I don't think anyone really has the truly one solution. And it just gives us an opportunity to discuss one positive cog in our overall community. And maybe it will inspire someone to do something a little bit different because they see something a little bit different in their community. That individuality does come out.
Hello. Okay, Mr. Green. Mr. Wright. I don't know what's wrong with the host's. I done told her 1,000 times, get your internet. You can't get it from what name of the place over there on 37th and Waters? 37th and Montgomery. You can't get your internet from there. You know,
Right.
this is my day off, and she got me working.
Yes,
And
sir.
I done told her she can't get it from there, and she got all the
Understood.
questions that they wanted to ask you.
Right.
And so how long have you been home?
Since as I was telling the host, I have never truly been incarcerated. I have just always felt the need to play an important role in building up our community. I was very well raised by everything that you, Mr. Hall, Mr. Campbell, everyone that I ever hear talking and trying to reach our youth. You basically express the same things that I was taught with. And I really want to just try to bring a different aspect to what you guys express as truth, and just that allows a different that allows different kids who might not have heard it from like you, but it allows them to hear it from a different point of view. And I as a teacher, get the opportunity to really use mathematics to show why education is important. And I don't care what anyone says, people's minds change when they learn things, and they do things differently when they learn things. And I just am really taking my job as a teacher more and more seriously since I've been able to work with programs like this. And everyone that even those who I have met through this program, Incarceration, and those members who come out, the number one thing that they say is that they have changed their mindset. They've changed the way that they do things. They changed the way their behavior is. They changed the way they interact with people. It's what I try to tell my kids. So I know that that's the truth. And I just try to learn from, and as they say, the wisdom comes from people's testimony of life. And so I just try to listen to different people's stories because, as I said, I've never really been incarcerated. But because they might not be able to get to my youth, they're not afforded the opportunity to be able to talk to those kids. I really take my opportunities that I have, like here, to listen to those stories and pass them on to my youth and really try to explain to them why these decisions are inaccurate, why your train of thought is not correct. These guys would tell you if they were here, but they're not here. So I know their story. I know your uncle. I know that person because I'm listening to their story. And I know that they don't want you in this path. And so where they would usually brush, and I feel like sometimes they brush those mentoring programs off, you know, and but we should be bombarding them with the truth like they are bombarded with world star videos. And that's how I feel about it. I think that that's why I keep saying that we are all should play a better cog in the building up of our community, because I just don't believe that there's one solution. I just believe that we're going to have to find a way to let everybody express themselves in order to really help our youth, and even in order to help our people who have been incarcerated. Everyone, it doesn't have the opportunity to do the Christian values of visiting those in prison. But I do feel that everyone does have a part to play in building up our community, which is building up people. So maybe I feel that I am a teacher. Other people can afford the opportunity to get better employment. And we should be having that discussion that those who have businesses, when members of our community from the incarceration come, we should look at the opportunity to provide them busing. You know, we have a lot of jobs that are out at the port. Our youth need males that have opportunities to provide their families work. We have I know that they're building up warehouses and things of that nature. However, we're not fighting. Those of us who have never been incarcerated, like myself, I'm not putting up legislation that says we need to have the bus system make sure that our people are able to get to those jobs. I know my friend has to pay more in Uber than he has makes in money because he has to go all the way out there from where he works. You know, and I just know that there's a lot of people who are in that plight, and that's why our youth get into that, that system. We all have to play our, and I'll just go back to what I want to do this year, which is I just want to play a cog in the building up of our community, and then let other people be inspired to play their roles in identifying and building up the moral values, the economic values, the social values of our community. And I just feel that we should be doing that, just like you guys are doing right now.
Okay.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
I'm gonna get off my laptop and I'm gonna get on my cell phone, okay? Because this thing, I don't know if you can hear it. It keeps dinging.
Yeah,
And,
we hear.
and I'm sorry. You hear it? I'm sorry. Mr. Wright, I told Mr. Hall to come out to his house to do the podcast.
What's the name of that place on 37th in Montgomery?
Where?
37th and
Where?
MLK, and there's one on 37th in Montgomery too.
I don't know.
The
The
phone place.
library?
The
The who?
phone place.
I don't know. Cricket?
Cricket.
Metro?
You can't get Cricket for your internet service.
I don't have cricket. I have Infinity.
Well, Infinity is letting you down. They're
It's not.
Xfinity.
Can I tell you something? It's not even Infinity. What it is It's my laptop is dead, and it's my fault. Okay, but to Ray, Mr. is Tolan.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Tolan. Julius Campbell wanted to say, how do you become intentional in a young man or a young woman's life?
How do you be now? That is a because, as I said, everyone would be able to address that in their own identified way because we all are. I for without avoiding the question, I personally, as a teacher, it's almost in, it's almost a part of the job that you learn to identify with young people because you have to develop a relationship with them. I think
Right.
that each and every one of you to under I think that anybody who wants to do anything in anybody's life have to have a relationship with that person. So that question is the question for to answer that is we are afforded the opportunities to develop a relationship with the individual. And I was even taught by one of my classes that the child that I didn't like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
was the one that I was told that I should pick, that I do the 2 by 10. It was called a strategy, a 2 by 10
Mm-hmm.
strategy, where
Mm-hmm.
for 10 days I talked to the student for 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we developed a relationship. And you'd be surprised what you learn about a person who you didn't like. And that's what I try to tell my kids, where I didn't understand that. So someone taught me, and I was afforded the opportunity now to teach you that because they need different strategies in order to deal with people who they don't like. We definitely bombard them with the opportunities to afford the strategies of maybe violence or, just things that we see constantly on the news or TV or videos and stuff of that nature. So I still think that we need to develop intentional relationships with our youth. I am really only able to do that in a school setting. But at the alternative school, we really do find we're afforded the opportunity to go above and beyond what normal teachers are able to do.
So
Because of
what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr.
It's
Tolan.
just that, and I want everybody to understand that because we're at the alternative school, our population is a lot smaller than teachers at a different setting. So as I said, I am playing my cog at the best that I'm going to play this year. But that doesn't mean that your cog is not important in the role of our community. And I think that I don't want anybody to, as I said, even in that question, it's just coming from the perspective of a teacher who is afforded the opportunity to teach young people who have given up on education. And now I'm going to develop a relationship with you intentionally to beg you to not give up on education. Now, I'm not in the role of the parent or the other person, or maybe even their parole officer, who can play a role definitely and bring in a different form of the relationship, which inspires a community. I just want people to understand that when that question is asked, understand that we all have to build this relationship up. It cannot just be Mr. Right as the teacher or in that situation. That's all.
Okay, but Mr. Wright, remember when I was talking to you today and I was saying, where's our village?
Correct.
It's not gonna just take Mr. Wright. It's gonna be Mr. Wright, Julius Hall, Marie, Julius Campbell, and so on and so forth. So what happened to the village when it comes to these children not getting into trouble, these kids doing what they want to do? So what happened to the village? Because it take a whole village to raise one child. So what
Correct.
happened to the village?
That's what we're, may I had posed this question in a very different way. I hope I'm saying this correct. And please make sure if I didn't say it right, make sure you ask me, okay? But
Okay.
I realize we as African Americans, because as I said, we can look at a problem as a human society, but we are also, thank you, Mr. Hall, afforded the opportunity to take a look at it from an African American perspective. And I don't have to speak for every African American male. Thank you, Mr. Hall. I get to speak for me and what I get to see, because this is our platform, and someone else can come in and we can have a beautiful dialogue to be able to build up our community. But
Right.
here, our community that I see, I visited New York, Harlem, and do you know that the city of Harlem was shut down for a day because there was a holiday for the Muslim community, and every store was shut down in Harlem.
Wow.
And that meant when I come back to Savannah, I always tell my friends that when we look at our community and we look at our convenience stores, I am
Hmm.
not disgusted, but if we were to look at, when we don't own our community resources, as we say, we have a few, and that's why I said that I might just be the one that gets to ask the question to inspire. Do we just rely upon the Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber of Commerce in 2022? Do we need a couple of other different things, like not just this, but this, and this person? We need all five of you to coordinate an attack on from every one of your perspectives.
That's why I like what Mr. Hall does. And I really want his network to be like a big network like TV1 or BET, because he's giving it to us, by us, from us. And that's what we really need. You understand? I love the fact that he does that. And I just want it to be national. I
That's how
do.
we should be.
That's, I want it to be national because he have a lot. He have finances, he have incarceration to incorporate. So I really, really appreciate Mr. Hall. You know.
We were at I will say, when we look at our youth and we look at our incarceration, and I just, as Mr. Campbell and I talk about, and I want you, I feel like when our community sees our incarcerated individuals come home, I am always trying to ask Mr. Campbell, because I didn't even know about these different programs, but
Hmm.
I am still trying to figure out a program that I could do to work out, so that I could be a part of this, because it's a necessary part of the community. But
Hmm.
maybe as I said, that's what we're here to discuss,
Hmm.
because maybe I don't have that gift, but I
Hmm.
just have that, like this one guy told me, yeah, you don't have that gift to play football, but you definitely know how to make plays. You're
Right.
definitely an offensive coordinator. You definitely should be someplace on the team.
Right.
Well, and I just want to. That's what I see, Mr. All with all your investments and all your opportunities, and then come in to invest in those different opportunities. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's why I would like to play a cog, because we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. We can play a part in what is already growing, and just let people play their part to show our youth that to show them, as the question was asked, how do I invest in them? I show that people invested in me.
Well,
I show that I invest in other people, because being a teacher, I love being a teacher, because it's not just what I say, it's what I do. And if you bring
correct.
any of my students on, I
Wait a
love
minute,
it.
Mr. Wright. Mr. Hall is trying to say something for a second.
Oh, please go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Hall.
No, no problem. I know you. You when you go, you can go. I'm surprised you stopped earlier when nobody was there. You could have kept on going the whole show. But anyway, my thing is this, Tolan, um, is that you're playing your part. I'm playing my part. We need other guys to step up and play their part.
Right.
They have a responsibility and obligation as elders uh, to help raise this community, because our community is the most dysfunctional one there is. So we have an obligation to do this. If all of us had two kids and bring them up, then it would work a whole lot better if all of us were to do that. I got five, six, seven of them.
Mm-hmm.
that I got, and they give me hell every day. But there's not much I can do about that, and I don't know who calling me and want to keep calling. Um, but I think what this generation, and I hate to say this here, you might think is we gonna continue to try to save what we can. That's all we can do. That's our obligation. We have to be able. These kids are shooting each other every day. They don't care.
It was just a
This is a
shooting last night.
generation that's almost lost because they don't understand how precious life is. They don't care.
They
And the
really
ones that are not involved, they don't have those social skills because all they do is play on this all day long.
But Mr. Hall, can I ask you a question? Do you
Yeah.
think, I'm saying as parents, do you think it's our fault that they play on their phones all day and we allow them to have access to their cell phones like that, to give them that much internet
Yeah. Yeah.
privilege?
You
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 know,
hold some blame. You hold some
exactly.
blame because you could take that phone from them. My
Yes,
granddaughter's on her phone all day long. Why I don't know. My daughter's a great mother, but
right.
why she let her be on that phone, I don't know. Let her sit in front of the TV so she can learn what's going on in the world.
Yes, sir.
Look, if you're gonna be on that phone, I need you to get 1 hour worth of news every day, also. But
Right.
what I was about to say before Maria interrupted me,
I'm so sorry.
I stay on her. But you know what? This generation is almost lost, and we're going to continue to do what we're doing because I can't give up on these kids.
That's right.
You know, it's
Keyword.
two girls and 7 boys. So I got 9 of them. So I think that we're going to have to start at the 3 year olds and the 4 years old and the 5 years old and make sure that they don't go astray
Correct.
because this is a generation that's almost lost. These kids don't care about life. They don't care about nothing. They don't even care about their own life. They listen to this rap music, and rap music has a great part in it too. Rap music got a 50% part in it. Then the parent has the other 25%. And the last 25%, it goes to the black male because we're not doing what we're supposed to do to um, cultivate these young minds and to bring them up right, to show them which roads to travel down. We all got to do our part,
Everybody do their part.
everybody, and that's just my
Mr.
take.
Hall, can I say something? Since we have this, I love the platform. I would like to get a rapper on here, and I would want to ask this rapper, you make all these many millions of dollars, right? And Mr. Hall, they make all this money and they still out killing each other. I'm talking about the rappers who make the $1 million, Mr. Wright. They're
Mhm.
out still killing each other and they're beefing with each other. And guess what? That 15-year-old young man or that 13-year-old that hears the rapper who they look up to, that's why they act the way they act. So what is your comment on that, Mr. Wright?
I would like to say that I'm not no doctor of psychology, okay?
No, right, right.
And I know Judge Mathis would probably give you a better answer, right? Because that's what they love listening to, especially my own mama, right? But to just be an honest person, right? As a teacher, what I see, to go back to what Mr. Hall said, I see a conflict between playing a role and finding an identity. And Mr. Hall, I agree with you that these kids are lost and angry because they don't know who they are. I would like to add to you by just saying, by adding, like how they say, a pillar to your thought. And I think that that's because they don't know who they are. I went through drama and trauma just like they did, but I had a family that I knew. I knew my cousin. I knew my person who was here. I knew my aunt. I knew my aunt that was in New York who would let me go up there when I was feeling really bad because my other mama wasn't really feeling me. And we took care of each other, which is going back to that community. Now
Mm-hmm.
we have a group of kids who we're saying about the telephones, but that's because now they don't know who their cousins are because they only know their cousins by how many Instagram likes they like. We do not have what we are talking about, which is a communication to find out who we truly are as a community, which is why you're asking the question, Miss Jones, about where is our village? We don't have
Right.
no identity. We can go. I just feel like we could keep the, if you, one of my teachers was like, we're finally learning how to have an action dialogue because the conversation has to go towards some sort of action. So
Right.
what I try to say is that when we talk, do I want to play a role or do I want to make the hard conversation of finding the identity, the strong truth of the situation? And so when Mr. Hall was discussing that, we give them the phones and we played this part in it and we played this part in it. What about the fact that we also know the plight of the African American community that was mentally drained for 165 years and was told that their family would never be anything? That the African American male, for as one person described to me, has been running for 350 years because of the fact that it was better to run than to be with a family. And even though we do not talk about that mental paradigm, it has an effect on our kids because, as you said, Mr. Hall, white kids now get to call themselves niggas in 2022. It has been promoted in rap, it has been promoted on TV. This social acceptance of a word that has been nothing but divisive. And now they use the excuse to keep it divisive, but now it's making money. And so we give our kids our phones because it's what we do. It's not defined, it's just a role. It's so easy to play a role and just do what everybody else is doing. And then you have Mr. Wright who comes along, as every student would say, Mr. Hall, you talk too doggone much, Mr. Wright. You're making me think. And I'm thinking too much and I don't want to think. And that's when I know that I finally got to them. And when they come to my room, they know that I am different. I am not that person anymore. It may have taken them 3 weeks, but it's consistency because I know who I am. I am not going to play a role for you. I know who I am.
Okay, Mr. Wright, can I ask you this? You say you're not going to play a role, but in their minds, do you think that they feel like you just care because of your consistency, right? Because a lot of these teachers, they don't. I'm not saying some teachers don't care, but a lot, like you said, some teachers say, "Well, I got mine. You got to get yours," right?
Correct.
And push them away. But in your being consistent, knowing who you are, the kids feel that you may feel like you making them think that you care, like you
Correct.
care, not making them think that you actually care. And so I feel that's what a lot of these young men need. That we're still talking about incarceration to incorporate the young men that are sitting in prison right now. If they had that actual care and that attention, would they have done A, B, C, or D? And
Correct.
would they be sitting in prison right now?
And everybody wants to, and I will say this to everybody who may have the opportunity to listen to me. I am not a miracle worker. I did not get the opportunity to be able to spit on the ground and automatically heal the eyes. But the conversation, everybody, if we really had it and we started trying, we might not have immediate effects, which is what everybody wants. That's why they were looking for the solution to have the immediate effect. That's a part of our culture of going to the doctor. When we're sick, we go to the doctor, we want to be healed in a couple of days. And so, but we need to understand that if you haven't had a real community and over, my grandmother told me that she couldn't serve food. This is 1973. She couldn't serve food in the house because she was too dark. Her sister, who was light skinned, had to serve the food. That was what was told to me when I was still a kid in 1977, 1978. Now, if I tell my daughter that story, I am looked upon as if I'm racist, but that's our history. How do we identify the bad in our history if they don't want us to talk about it no more? As a teacher, we're going through legislation where we're not even supposed to be discussing the Cherokee Trail. We're not even to Cherokee Trail of Tears, where our Indian brothers and sisters, because a lot of our Black people, we claim Cherokee, but a lot of those people were brutally slaughtered during that war and placed upon the trail to go to the reservations in the Midwest. I could just, like I said, I talk to a lot of individual people, and what I see is that we have a human side, and then we have people with their individuality, because we have to keep our identity. Our kids are completely lost. And Mr. Hall, I'm not losing your point. Rap played a part in it because it allows them to make money off of it. We don't even have the opportunity to argue about the effects because it makes money.
But the thing is this, though, it does make money, and it's making money for those black producers and those white producers, also those record companies. Um, but the language, no matter what it makes, I don't care if it wasn't making a dime, they would still let it out because it is a part of the destruction of our community. This is a planned attack. This ain't nothing that they hadn't thought out. Rap music. I was carrying one of my mentees home today, and they put on a song, and I could hear the song, and it's one rapper talking about how many of the other guys in his community they done killed. So you know what that's going to cause, right? That's
Yes.
going to cause their friends, that's the ones that's dead, their friends, to come back looking for these rappers. So more people die, you know. And he
Mhm.
were talking bad about these guys. You're talking bad about dead people, and about how your group, your clique killed them.
Right.
You know, the feds don't even do nothing. If you talk about how you know something about a murder, you're complicit in it, they would come and arrest you. They
Hmm.
don't
Right.
care. They want you to go and kill them. This is a
That's right.
conspiracy. People be thinking, hey, man, you going too deep with this conspiracy. That ain't deep. This is a plan. They attacking us from all sides.
Angels. Yep.
It's a
That's
it's a diabolical plan. They're attacking us from all sides. You can't. The women can't have their man in the house with them in the project. They putting your food stamps so you can be dependent on the government. Um, they're giving us the rap music and not. And but do you hear the rap music played on their radio stations? Hell no. It's only played in our communities. We're the only ones allowed to talk bad about ourselves and to talk about killing each other.
mhm.
No other place on this earth is going to let you do that except
Mhm.
here.
That is
It's a
correct.
plane. See, we're so strong. Our DNA is so strong that they can't get rid of us.
Right.
So they got to help. They got to have some help.
That's
And
true.
who their help come from? Within. Comes from us.
Right.
And
I agree
until
with
we start standing up as black men and saying, that's enough, we stopping this now. We can stop all the shootings and just about all the shootings out there. You can stop all that. You can stop all
I,
that.
Mr. Hall, I would say up front that I know that the people who raised me, you know, I come from a home where my dad was not present, but his family, it was the reality that I was raised by a community of individuals who did big things in the community that started this. I was just telling Miss Marie before it started, they started the Savannah Stallions. I come from a heritage where I went to the first Catholic school that was for African Americans. My mom and all of them graduated. We I just we are afforded a great history, and now we go back and we look at, and all those buildings are gone. All those things that made those people proud of who we were are gone. And Mr. Hall, that is what I was telling, what we term regentrification. That's one of the as a teacher, that's one of the number one things I feel I would say in support of your argument is what they do. regentrification allowed buildings that I had been a part of, that was a part of my history, that my grandmother grew up in, and I would love to have shown my daughter, as a part of our identity. But the whole building is gone. We couldn't even get a loan to rebuild we couldn't even get a loan to, do a little bit of maintenance. But the opportunity is afforded to get a loan, a construction loan. All the paperwork is able to be filled out, all the permits, all the things that go into taking the whole structure away, the whole identity of the community, Miss Marie, which I will go back to your point of where is the village. If you drive on the east side right now, houses and buildings that we used to say were the convenience stores, that were the mom and pop stores, that we put money into our community, the whole building is gone.
Right.
Houses that were called Anderson Lane, that was completely Black, are completely gone.
Oh, yeah. I remember Anderson Lane.
My mom tells me that Clarence Thomas was running around in Anderson Lane. You telling me the Supreme Court justice was running around in Anderson Lane in Savannah until he moved? Like, our people know our history, and we should be so proud, but you can't even point to where those buildings are anymore. If you
forget about Clarence Thomas being a part of our history, because
that's correct.
Biggest sellout in the history of the world.
See, I just now see, Mr. Hall, I'm always just trying to be I bring in all stories. I'm not even going to disagree with you because but I was just bringing in all stories that the people have.
Let me tell you something. That's one thing I like about Mr. Hall. He just gonna say. He gonna say what the people thinking, but he just goes, and I love it because I'm bold just like that.
I can't disagree.
But can I ask you a question, Mr. Hall or Mr. Wright? Okay, so I want to know what do you do for a child who do not want to be helped? You do all you can to help this child. You done went 20 times, you done did this, that, and the third, and this child still wants to end up shooting somebody and going to prison because he feel like that's a brownie point. Tell me what you do.
Oh, I was going to give it to Mr. Hall. He had such a good answer. I think he had answered this one.
Well, for that particular child, there's not much you can do because if he'll shoot that other kid, he'll shoot you too.
Wow.
So you have to try to reach these kids. I'm gonna tell you a little story.
Go ahead.
I when I mentor these kids, I get on their level because they don't respect me on my level.
Right.
So I got to jack them up. I got to slap them side the head. I got to do those things that they need to get straight. I was telling one of them off one day when my brother called. And my brother said, "Son, what you doing?" I said, talking to my little mentee, he said, "You can't talk to that boy like that." I said, that's the only language he understands. He doesn't understand you being nice to him. He doesn't. So you have to get on their level. It takes real men to raise these kids. You can't tell me that you're going to send me somebody at City Hall who's academia, all he knows is books, to come out here and talk to these kids.
That's right.
You better say that's the truth now.
That's
the
got
truth.
To have real men to go out there and talk to these kids in these streets. They ain't going to respect nothing else. All they're going to think is, go out there, well, guys, you have to go to school. They're going to say, what is he, gay? They're going to be wanting to shoot you. You know what I'm saying? Right. But when you go out there and you get on their level and you can sit down and talk to them, they'll listen sometimes.
Yes.
Those are the ones that you can save. You got to be able to save some, because if you go out there, what they call lame.
But you know what, Mr. Hall? You know what, Mr. Hall? These kids who are going through something, they want to know that you have been through something to relate to them.
Correct.
And I don't know.
And
Miss Marie, Miss Marie, I want to say something, and I don't mean
Yes.
to interrupt, but I just want to throw in just one important feature. You know, Mr. Hall, where you said 25% of the parents, that's the comment that good people are trying to do for parents. Because the two comments that y'all, that I feel like that's a very parental issue what y'all are discussing, because parents need to step up more to help our youth with that. And that is where
I agree with you.
I would say, Mr. Hall, now I would say it's not necessarily 25%, but now given that discussion, it's probably 40, because it's still going to go back to what you also said about why do they not understand that a person of your caliber deserves to be on this level? I did, even at that age. My people told me that an individual that is doing things like that in your community are deserved to be up there. And may I even say that even gangsters in movies used to be like, okay, brother, that's the one that's doing good things. Don't touch him. Let him keep doing the thing. And it's like, I agree with you, Mr. Hall, but I still feel that's a parental issue very strongly about why people don't have that respect and don't understand that respect thing.
And you got a good point. I would agree with you to give parents more of a responsibility, but the music has influenced our kids to where the parents can't even reach them now. And if you take music out of their lives, these kids will be totally different because they wouldn't know how to act like a fool.
Okay.
And I'm serious. I see it every day. My kids, they love this music. They can't live without it. Yesterday in West Savannah, by Moses Jackson School, I heard there was some shooting out there. I didn't even see it on the news. I heard they had the whole area taped off. Guess who it was?
Who?
A bunch of girls shooting at each other.
Oh, wow.
What?
Bunch of girls shooting at each other.
Terrible.
It's crazy. Mr. Xavier, you there today?
I am definitely here. I'm so sorry. My internet was really acting up at work. It wasn't still connected for some odd reason. It was acting up, so I made it home.
Okay, that's what they supposed to have told you, to try to be home, to try not to be moving, because your internet will go out. You'll keep going in and out. But Marie failed to tell you that. But they were supposed to tell you to try to be home, like Mr. Wright is right there.
I didn't get that memo, sir. I sure did.
Yeah.
I didn't get it to this morning.
All right.
Guess what? Guess what? Xavier, I know you talked to Julius Campbell, and y'all, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and put it on me since I'm the only female on the podcast. But
I did speak with him. I did on yesterday.
mm-hmm.
Just like I spoke with you
So
on yesterday.
Xavier, since you didn't have a chance to talk, can you just tell us your name and about you a little bit, your affiliation to Incarceration, sir?
Well, my name is Xavier Lewis, and I've been incarcerated in the federal prison in Elster, South Carolina, and Bentonville, South Carolina. I don't know if you've ever been to a federal prison, but it's kind of different. You have different things. Way different. It's different
I did
structure.
21 years in federal prison.
It's different structure. It's a whole different feeling than from the state prison. And it was really an eye-opener for me about the federal prison and how things were ran, how people believe, how people was under false pretense, how they believe one thing about the federal system or crime in itself. But then when they got caught up in crime or caught up in the federal system, now they understand the laws different, and now they want to see prison change or prison reform, and they want to reach our youth and older people at a different level than what their mind said it before. So I believe what y'all do, and I miss most of it, is a good thing to reach kids and reach older people to bring them to the reality that prison is real. And not only is it real, crime is too. I heard y'all was talking about the rap music. Rap have really influenced our kids in a way. they don't do nothing but lie. They talk about how you go in front of the judge and you can get sentenced, but you can come back on appeal. Well, it don't work that way, because when you go to the federal prison and you go in front of the judge, you'll be about home before you come back on appeal. By the time the judge listen to you or get a chance to get back in the court, you done did 5 or 6 years. And if they do reduce your sentence to anything, they just take a little something off the back end, not really the front end, unless you have a real strong case. So this rap music really need to go. It really need to be banned, really, because they're talking about killing, they're talking about shooting, they're putting out a spirit in the atmosphere. And these kids are really submitting to it. They're really doing it. They said in Orangeburg County in Columbia, over there in South Carolina, they're actually now counting how many people they can kill. So it became a game to them. I learned that from some of my friends that live there. It's a game to them. One said he killed 5. One said he killed 10. So they're going around killing people as a game.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's terrible, and I tell them it's terrible. But when they get in the federal system, they want to cry, "Mama, your mama can't help you now. Either you're gonna grow up or you're gonna be a little girl in the federal system." That's just how it works.
But Xavier, guess what? It's like that. Either you go grow. Guess what? Either you go grow up in the state penitentiary too, because them officers don't care about you calling for your mama.
They don't.
They do not care about you. You should have listened to your mama before you got to that stage.
They your mama now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your mama. You got to walk to the chute. You got to walk to the shower with guards with you. You got to walk to the shower with boots on. You have to have somebody guard the shower while you take a shower. It's terrible in the federal system. So people have to really understand that going to prison is not a badge of honor. It's actually, to me, you just throwing your life away when you knowingly going to prison, because you think the law says one thing, but the law says another thing. I think we are uneducated in what the law really says and what it really applies to. I went to school for criminal justice, and I learned a lot of things about the criminal system in itself that's so faulty that if the federal people get their hands on you, you're not going to get out. It was Xavier Lewis versus the United States of America. One me versus all 50 states. So I'm fighting every law on the book. Laws I know and law I don't know. So again, when you get in the federal system, you fighting every law that there is, and you don't know most of them. Right. So how can you fight something you don't know? So it's best not to go that route. It's best that we deter our young people, get out there and talk to them, have seminars, go out there and hit the streets. That's what I'm actually wanting to do now. Go out there and hit the street, go in the neighborhood where the worst of the worst is, and really talk to them, let them know, hey, I've been to prison, and it ain't what you think it is. You ain't going to prison, and you ain't gonna make no $10,000 to $20,000 no year. Some people do it, but it's a high price that you have to pay. So that's what one of the things I'm trying to do now. I want to go out there and deter people, talk to young people, let them know, listen here, prison is not a way of life. You lose so many loved ones.
So how long did you do it, Xavier?
I did almost 7 years, 6 years and 11 months.
Wow.
Well, we're going to have to make this a part 2 for next Friday. Can y'all come back next Friday?
Sure.
Sure. See, now I know I can get off a little earlier and be home on time. See, I know. I just found out about this yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not my fault. That's not on Marie.
That's not on Marie.
It is Julian's fault.
So that's
Julius
not on Marie.
Campbell.
Julius Campbell.
Thank you.
Yeah, he informed me yesterday, and I believe I talked to Marie yesterday. Did I talk to you yesterday?
Yes, sir. Because he told me to call you. Mm-hmm.
So that's where it was just. But if I know in time, I can get off earlier, and I can be home on time, and I can enjoy it. I can join in on the discussion.
Okay, so 6 o'clock.
Excuse me, I'm gonna say,
ma'am.
Go ahead, Marie.
Mr. Hall. I want to have a young person who I know, I'm gonna have his face covered, okay, y'all. I'm not gonna allow him to show his face, but I know that he is in a gang, and I want him to talk to the youth and I want to ask him, why is he a part of a gang? I'm not gonna show his face because I don't want no kind of retaliation against him, but I will really want to know, like, why are you a part of a gang? Like, what privilege is it for you that you would take and want to willingly give your life for this gang, give your years, not just your life to go to the grave, but give your years in a penitentiary? They think it's a brownie point, Xavier.
They do. They do. I actually met a young fella in prison. He was 18 years old. He was the youngest person there. He said he came to prison to make his family rich. So he did his crime to make his family rich. And so when I found out the amount of money he got paid, I said, well, if $10,000 is a lot of money to make your family rich, you don't know what riches is, my brother. Riches don't come like that. Riches is values. Riches is morals. It ain't what you have in wealth. It's what you have on the inside. Our late Pastor Chief, when she preached a message, how do you measure success? And when you measure success by other people's success or what you have on as an earthly possession, then you miss the whole thing. Success is when you are happy with yourself. Success is when you're content with yourself. Success is when you are honest with yourself. So when you measure success against somebody else's success and you have to do things that cause you to go to prison, you measure it up wrong. So therefore, people are really coming to prison for really nothing. And it's a sad thing.
Okay, so we're going to... I just wanted to say, make it real quick because we got another show that's already came on.
Okay.
And, you know, but if y'all be here at 6 o'clock next, 5:45, if y'all can tune in, Marie and Julius will be here. I'll probably be out of town, but I'll try to get on if I made it to my destination. But
yeah,
so we can finish this conversation because both of you brothers are giving it the way that it needs to be given. And we need to start our groups of mentoring. We don't need to operate outside of each other. We need to operate together so that we can save some of these kids. It's our responsibility, whether we think it is or not, it is.
That's right.
And, you know, we're going to be judged by what we do while we're still here, knowing that we know better.
That's right.
So, Brother Wright, you had something you wanted to say real quick before we go?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to say, Mr. Xavier, I would like one day for you to come because that's what I was saying about trying to find a true identity, understanding who you truly are. And that's when you will be successful because it's not about what everybody else is doing. It's about how am I doing my gifts? What are my gifts and how am I using them to their full capacity? That's what I'd love for you to be able to come to our kids, but we ain't got it yet. But that's exactly. I just wanted to say that, Mr. Hall. That was all.
Well, you can get my number for Marie, and you can call me anytime.
I send you his number. Guess what, y'all? I love the fact that y'all are here. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Mr. Hall has another show. Thank you, AB. Thank you, Julius Campbell. Thank you, Mr. Hall, Xavier, and Mr. Wright. Good night.
Good night.
Y'all can stay on. Y'all can stay on right after this because when I end it, y'all can talk right after this. Y'all don't have to go nowhere. Just stay right there. Don't go nowhere.
Okay.
Okay. And y'all, so we can prepare for next Friday's show. Don't go nowhere. Y'all talk to Marie right after this ends. It takes about 2 minutes. Then y'all can talk to Marie. All right.
Okay.
I'll say don't go nowhere. We'll be right there. You got to play this outro to end the show. All right. All right.
Like this.